Hello up there, it's a beautiful evening and I'm getting the scope ready to do some astrophotography. In this video I will try to go through the software that I use. The telescope has been balanced, all the equipment is attached, and now I want to align my guide scope with my main telescope. I use SharpCap. In this case I use SharpCap Pro 3.2 because the Pro version has got polar alignment, and that is very necessary later on. So without further ado, I will go to my camera attached to my guide scope. My telescope is pointed at an antenna that is situated about 2 miles from here, and I use this antenna to align my guide scope with my main telescope. In SharpCap I will turn on a crosshair up here. And now I will use the arrow keys on my control pad to make the antenna go into the center of the screen. And now with small movements from the control pad, I will center the antenna in the screen. And there. Now I have turned to the camera on the main telescope. And again, I will use the keypads on the controller to get the antenna into the center of the screen. There. Now it's in the center of the screen, and we can go back to the guide scope. And this time, now look at this. I'm powering off the telescope to prevent the sidereal tracking to move the antenna. Now I will go back to the guide camera. So now, with the telescope turned off, I will use the knobs on the guide scope to move the guide scope so that the antenna will get back into the crosshair. And presto, bingo, there you have it. Now the guide scope and the main telescope is aligned on the same object in the sky, and the telescope, well, it's ready for the night's running. The darkness has come and the sun has set. We are ready to go to do some astrophotography. First things first though, this telescope is turned off and it's in its polar home position. You can learn more about that by watching my other videos. What we will do now is we will turn to SharpCap Pro. I will go to my camera on my guide scope, not the main scope but the guide scope, because the field of view in the main scope is too small to do a polar alignment. Now I go to Tools and I go to Polar Align and we press Next. Now we are waiting for SharpCap to platesolve for us where the telescope is pointed and what are the errors that needs to be corrected. It's platesolved it already, and before we do anything, we press Next. And now we will rotate the RA axis on the telescope about 90 degrees. And SharpCap will now do new calculations to work out what are the polar alignment errors, what needs to be corrected. And SharpCap has now platesolved for me, and it's telling me what to do when I press Next. I have to turn my telescope 11 minutes to the left, and I have to put it 12 minutes up. So I turn this knob on the telescope. Every time we move the telescope, we are waiting for SharpCap to do new calculations. Still 2 minutes to go, and now my computer is drained. Typical. We are turning the telescope up. And a bit more to the left. And there you have it. Now I'm 9 6 seconds off. Do not hunt those seconds. So now we have gone inside my garage, and outside that window my telescope stands, and everything can be remotely controlled from within here. And now we will go to Astro Photography Tool. I have made my connections to the camera and I have made my connections to the gear. the scope in this case. And now I will go to point craft. I will get the coordinates from my telescope and I will do a solve. And it's solving right now.
Image solved.
Image is solved. And now I will go to objects. In this case, tonight's target is M27. And we press OK. And I go down here. And we will press the same target. And now, look at this. I will go to this go to plus, and it will plate solve for me. It will move the telescope so that the dumbbell nebula, or M27, will get into the center of the screen. And it's doing a routine where it is taking a picture and it's calculating where is the telescope pointed and where should the telescope be pointed. And then it will make small adjustments to the telescope so that my target will get into the center of the screen. And I think I'm happy with the result already, because I can see the dumbbell nebula in this picture and it's centered. So I will go and stop. We will close point craft. And now I will go to my PhD 2. And now we will connect to the telescope and the camera. We will start looping. And there's a star or two, and we will auto select a star. That one down there, and we will start the guiding. Now, inside SharpCap, you can do a very, very smart thingy. This program can live stack, and I always use it because when I'm done making pictures, I do not have to run DSS or any other stacking software. I'm doing it while I'm taking the pictures. But before we do anything, I will go to capture, and I will capture dark. I will make 10 dark frames of the exposure of 60 seconds. But before I take the dark frames, of course I have to take my cover of the telescope and make the telescope dark. And now when I've covered up my telescope with the lens cap, I will start taking my dark frames. Now SharpCap has done 10 captures of dark frames. And what we are going to do now is we are going to subtract dark. There it is. That's my dark frame. I will put it, I will get it here. And I could also have done this by taking flats and applying flats to the picture while we are taking it. Now look at this. I will go to live stack, and what the software will do now, it will take pictures and it will automatically stack the pictures, and it will automatically subtract the dark frames. So in about 20 minutes or so, I have a picture that is almost ready to post on Facebook or whatever. One thing more that is very smart with this program, it is that it will automatically save all the subs, and I can use all those subs afterwards to, well, do something in DSS. So now everything is up and running and it all works fine. As you can see here, the outer guiding, well, it looks pretty good. I'm happy and pleased. Take a look at this picture. Well, it doesn't look that great right now, but if I turn on my auto stretch and my auto color balance, it already looks really good. This is pretty much done. I can manipulate it by sliding all the sliders down here to make it look what I prefer to, and I can save the file of the shown image to my hard drive. Already this is good enough to be exposed to Facebook, I guess. And it's only 14 minutes of work out here with the computer. And of course, I've got a beer. So cheers up there and happy hunting. And I promise you, in the end of the video, I will post the finished picture.